Well, today is going to be a little bit different than yesterday. Yesterday was a beautiful day, cold. Today we get up, it's raining, miserable outside. Great day to put the rear wheel on a bike. I have a limited amount of time today, so I'm really trying to be efficient about this. I brought out some of the parts that I'm going to need to do this. They're all clean and ready to go. And to be honest, to be really honest about this, I'm itching to get this bike on the road. I'm still recovering from being sick, but it's not stopping me from working on this bike. It kept me out a day or two. I'm back. I'm ready to get this bike put together. That is something this whole day is just reminding me of, is when I changed out to the gold wheels, and I do have 2 sets of wheels, of course. And one of my future projects is to make a set of gloss black wheels with a red stripe. Future project. I always have future projects. But in my mind, I had a vision of how these gold wheels were going to look, and John Pathia made those Photoshop pictures showing it. I think these wheels look better than the pictures. If not, they look just as good. But anyway, here's the point. 2 things changed the whole look of this bike. The whole look of the front end, having the black forks and having the wheels gold and having this piece black, which I hemmed and hawed about polishing that or painting it something else or whatever. It looks like, and Karen gave me a lot of advice, and most of it was true, but the biggest advice I got when I was testing all the gold paints and all the pigments and and I stumbled on that Amazon pigment that I used. Wow, am I glad I bought that paint, because in my future there's going to be other gold wheels. Maybe even a set on the RD, who knows. I have a set of RD wheels too, so once you have the paint and once you're happy with the color, future projects abound. Now, because doing these custom wheels is one of the things I really have enjoyed over the years, and I've done them for pretty much for all the bikes, but I just like the fact that in the case of the RD, just being able to switch the wheels out would change the whole look of the bike, and in a very easy way. And actually it's really labor and almost no money at all. And if there ever was a labor of love, doing wheels is it. As I'm sure Thomas Luciano knows, you look at the wheels, the paint and the wheels change the whole look of the bike. It's amazing. Now, when I change out the wheels on this to the black wheels, I have the Ninja, the wheels that are black, and I clean these up and polish them. Again, changes the whole look of the bike. And I just think back to when this was the way it comes from the factory, and the way it is now. Now, I estimated the other day I put about 500 hours into this restoration already, but I haven't really put a lot of money. It's time, it's effort, but it's almost no money, and that's the same thing with the GS wheels. And these green wheels, when I replace them with the black wheels, maybe I'll do that next time we do a tire swap, and I already have the tires. It changes the bike, and I love having a bike that's like having a new bike without having to buy it, sell the old one, change the registration, change the insurance. I just love, and here's the perfect example. When this was the Ferrari bike, one of the Ferrari bikes, and a year later, 900 hours later to begin, and it's to me, it's just like I bought a new $20,000 bike without having to spend the $20,000. But of course, that's just me. I know everybody's different. Here's my set. As I'm saying this, I'm looking over at that set of GS wheels and being able to swap out the wheels. And I'm already thinking, now this is sad, I don't even have this project finished, but this is how my mind works. This project is not finished, won't be for another couple days. But here, I'm already thinking, what's the next project I want to work on? And I already got one in my mind, so don't hang up the phone. Now here's another nice thing about having a small collection of bikes. When our project is finished, and forgive my hoarseness, I'm still hoarse from this illness I've been through. I have mirrors to paint, and just looking at this, shiny mirrors, and from not exactly the same thing. Look, you can get them in the same picture here. I wanted to repaint the instruments. These have taken some stone chips, this piece. I wanted to polish this on the wheel downstairs, even though that's really starting to corrode. But I don't have a source for doing good quality chrome plating. And this piece here has some stone chips in it. So I thought this whole area, there's 5 or 6 or 7 pieces there, that would make a nice little fill-in project once the 650 is done. And no matter what angle you look at this project from, I love those black forks. That was such a good decision. And I love that gold paint. I have not seen anybody that's come into the shop and not like that gold paint yet. So I've got my plan of action here. Hopefully by now, my throat will get better in the next day or two and we'll be done with this project. But getting the back wheel on the bike would be the top priority today. And then I have to find out how much time I'm going to have available today because Karen has a whole list of things to do also. See, my thought was with the extra set of GS wheels to have them high gloss black and then the stripe, the thin 1/8 inch stripe, the color of the Suzuki on the tank, which is a unique orange red color that I do have some paint for. Might be cute. It turns it into an evil twin project very easily, and it's just labor, almost no money. And also when I do these stripes on the wheels, these accent stripes, none of them are tape. That's all paint and it's all buried and clear. Now another little problem I have to work around today, because it's raining outside, I can't take any of the bikes and put them outside. So today the rain has stopped, but here's something really impressive. And in our part of the country, ooh, there's a robin out there. Look at a robin. In our part of the country, the first sign of spring is the forsythias turn yellow, and then you know, get the bikes ready. The riding season is upon us. Well, it came early this year. Usually it comes a lot later. Anyway, there's the forsythias right there. And even my doctor said, if you drink enough coffee, your illness will be short and sweet. He wasn't right though. I think the birds are avoiding me this morning. They don't want me near their feeder. So you can imagine the anticipation I have for over the months. It's almost 500 hours now into this project. Into the 5th month, every nut, bolt, screw, everything's as good as I could possibly make it. And I do like to oogle the parts. I do like to finish up my coffee and then get that wheel out there. And what's going to be nice is once I get that wheel on, I'm going to be able to move the bike around. Now, what's going to happen is, if it stops raining later, it's still drizzling a little bit out there. I don't want to put the bikes out in the rain, but I do need, it is very convenient, to have a little more room. I do need some more room, but very soon this table is going to be empty, and then boy, I'm looking forward to that day like you can't imagine. Well, the good news is too, the pond is finally clearing up a little bit from this algae bloom we had. Jeez. So what I'm trying to do is stack, again, I'm trying to stack the parts up out here that I need, get everything ready so that I can do this as painlessly as possible. Now the rear end on this bike is a little tricky. It's a little different, and it's really nice if you have a helper, but it's just me. Everything I try to do it in such a way that I can do it by myself, even though my friends always volunteer to come over. So these are all the parts that go to the rear wheel. I'm going to make sure everything is set up, and that when I'm done with this, I want to look at every one of the parts, make sure they're clean before I start putting them back together. Put a little bit of grease on the axle, of course, and try to make sure that this assembly goes as painlessly as possible. I always put a little bit of grease on this before I put this in. And a little bit around that edge where that seal is going to go. Now the other side, it's always good if you just put just a tiny amount of grease on this. We'll just hold this in place while we install this. Now I found it always helps. Put a little bit of wheel bearing grease on the spacer that goes on this side. When you're going to put this together, that spacer never seems to want to stay in position. Not sure why. Just an idiosyncrasy of the bike, I guess. Now we have to fit up the back ends of the swing arm in place, and then we'll be ready to put the wheel in. Now, one of the things that would have been really nice, it didn't work out this way, of course, is if I had been able to work a little bit further up in the garage. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So, we've got to go to war with the army we have here. Now, the brake side can get a little tricky, and sometimes it's real handy if you have an extra set of hands, or in times I put a rubber band around that or whatever. Anything you can do to get all those parts to just sit in place, and hopefully they don't, as soon as you put the axle in, they all fall on the floor. Since we're here alone, a little piece of tape on there just makes everything just a little more stable while you're going to fit that axle. And this, of course, can be tricky, but if you have a helper, this is the time to call them up and have them come over. So you can see the way this works. And boy, my voice is getting hoarse again. There's a notch on here and a notch on here, and they have to line up because that part, as you adjust the axle, slides back and forth. And if you're really lucky, it stays there in place. If not, the best thing to do is just tape it. Now, so the first step is to get the chain on. Now you're going to find out if it's your lucky day. Because when I pick the wheel up, if the spacer doesn't fall to the floor, we'll be in good shape. If it falls to the floor, well, we'll have to see. And it doesn't fall to the floor, so it is our lucky day. Now we just have to make sure that's lined up. That'll go in its slot. And then of course we'll adjust the chain when this is all over. We'll clean the chain. We put oil or grease on it before the restoration so it wouldn't rust over the winter. We'll clean it all later. Got to get the nut on this now and then get the chain adjusted. And I just want to make this hand tight until we get the chain final cleaned and adjusted. Just hand tight, not torque down. No resistance on anything. And then of course at the end, when we're all done, the cotter pin. Now I want to wipe off some of that grease that we intentionally put on there. Keep it from rusting before we actually get busy and adjust the chain. The chain cleaned and adjusted. We don't need these pieces of tape anymore. They serve their purpose very well. So the chain made it through that winter pretty good. It's cleaned up, it's lubed, it's adjusted, ready to tighten this up and put the cotter pin in. Now all that's left is to put the calipers in. May have to spread these out a little bit more, I'm not sure. Yeah, they gotta get spread. Alright, so what I have to do is get a screwdriver and spread them. I already got Loctite on the bolts. And the idea here is I don't want to take any chances of scratching the rim. By separating the pads, gives me a little more flexibility to get this around into the part where the bolts have to go. It'll always be to my advantage. Okay, that's perfect. Now I already got Loctite on the bolts. Now it's about at this point in time that when I'm wiping off the fingerprints from putting the chain on and adjusting it and everything, the part of this that my brain starts to get wrapped around is, while I had this apart to do all the little details that I did, now I start to see the beauty of having this all nice and clean and basically the way it is now. It just really floats my boat to have this. That back end is all set to go. Now I finally get to see the bike with the both wheels on, number one, and number two, I can move the bike around. So the next day I work on this and I start putting the body work and the tank and everything on, I have a lot more flexibility where I can put the bike in the garage, assuming it doesn't rain tomorrow. Now, so far as this day has played out, I wish my throat was better. I wish I felt better. I wish I could go for another hour or two because I really am in the mood to do this, but I know the doctor's going to spank me, Dr. Karen, if I stay out here too long. So I think that's a watershed moment, getting that whole back end back together. And this is the first time I'm getting to see it with the both wheels on. And if you look at it, and from every angle I look at it, from the gold sprocket on the back, the black forks in the front, that is really, really looking like what I originally envisioned. And when John did those Photoshop pictures with the gold wheels, it really got my full undivided attention now. Because I guess now I'm trying to picture this. I don't know what the weather's going to be tomorrow, but the next step on this, I guess, is going to be so I can have some room in here. See, there's no room when it's raining outside. And what I need to do is get the fuel tank on, get all the wires and hoses, and get the bike running again. And that'll be the next step in the process. But the problem, as always, you're subject to the weather, subject to health issues, and at my age, you're subject to running out of energy. But Roy, that really did come out nice. And if you think all the time and energy I put into these wheels, it doesn't pay dividends the day you put them on the bike, you don't remember that day you were hand buffing it and your elbows were hurting and your nose was running. All you think about is, yeah, that really looks nice. And it seems like no matter what angle I look at this from, I look up from high, from the front, from the back, from the side, the emotion that I always have at a moment like this is, and I can share it with my friends that have this passion. I'm really glad I didn't skip any of the steps. And I do remember that time earlier on in my life when I wanted a drag bike and I wanted an Amar bike and I wanted a Valentino Rossi bike and I wanted this and I wanted that. But right now, the word that I use is this bike floats my boat. Having a polished, clean, custom, that's customized in a way that's very subtle, and people that walk by are going to think, I don't know, what year is that? What year did they make the black and gold one? Well, that's what we're looking for. Nothing special. We don't have anything. We've done nothing to this bike that changes it from being a dead reliable, great mileage, fun to ride bike. I put a lot of 200-mile days on this bike and jumped off and gone and cleaned a fish pond. This is really a bike that's underrated in every way, and as I've worked on it, I appreciate now that I've worked on it, I appreciate it even more. And I think the little details, like those black forks, the gold wheels, and the gold Kawasaki on the tank, when it's all together, this is going to be pretty cool. Maybe you think that way too. Now, to be honest, I just hope I feel a little bit better tomorrow. I have really been toughing it out through these days, but the result speaks for itself, and I've really gotten a lot of emotional satisfaction out of this project. Anyway, we're gonna call it a day, cut our losses and whatever before I get really sick. I don't know about that. But anyway, it's coming along way better. I just can't tell you the word I use all the time, happy. It's been a great project to work on. It's been 500 hours of my life that I think has been well invested. And now think about this. Here's a great thought that we'll end the video with. I have this bike until the day I die, because I don't flip bikes, I don't buy bikes, sell bikes, and auction off bikes. I keep them, I restore them, and I love them. Thanks for watching. Now, I I wanted to include these are some A-Team memory rides from long ago. I don't remember what year. Let's see if it's 2014. These are 6 years old. And here we have Glenn's Honda. I thought I'd share these with everybody. Always a lot of fun. We started this ride in, if I remember right, look at Tim in the background. Look at Tim. This was a really cold winter day. We met at Luciano's garage, and here's Glenn with his army pants on and calling up Valentino Rossi to see if he wants to join the ride. And I'm not sure, but Luciano had just gotten his 999 Ducati. I'm not sure if this is all a fact, but this is Luciano's garage, and this is in the middle of the winter, and we were riding. We were trying to ride every day, and it was, if you remember, way back then, the A-Team was in full force. We were meeting in Bob Navola's garage and tuning bikes up and fixing things for Tim, and this was in the heyday of the A-Team. This is Glenn's Honda. There's my Ferrari bike, Tim's 600 Kawasaki, the Ninja, among other things. And I'm look at the snow on the ground. Anytime you have that much snow on the ground, nothing good can be happening. Now, if I remember right, I think Joe Roselli led this ride, but I'm not sure. And we met, this is right by, oh my God, I can't even remember. But there's a big lake in the background, and it was frozen. He led this ride. It was a lot of fun. We all were freezing. We were all, you can see we're all bundled up here. Nobody's riding in a T-shirt, that's for sure. But the point is, these are great A-Team memories from when we were all a little bit younger. And a lot of the people don't like to ride in the really cold weather anymore. And to be honest, I don't blame them. Tim has gone off into, we went to Tim's wedding, and then we didn't see him. He moved to California. So, Tim, we do really appreciate having these pictures of these good old days. It looks like Vince there. I'm not sure if that is Vince. I can't see the bike. But we were having the time of our life. And as I look back, see, while I'm sick like this, I like to look through my old picture albums, and I have thousands and thousands of these old pictures. And they bring back such good memories. They really do. So I thought I'd put a couple minutes on the end of these videos while I'm sick. Or maybe if you enjoy them, I'll put them on until I run out of pictures, which probably won't be in my lifetime. But this was a special time of our life. We all were having fun with motorcycles here. I can't tell you how much fun this was. We were freezing. We were stopping for coffee. Joe Roselli, if I remember right, had this secret bagel place somewhere, and we all stopped for bagels. Here's Joe's bike. What a time we had. I hope the guys on the A-Team, even Bob Navola, who's moved away, I hope you all get to see this and enjoy it as much as I do looking back. And when it's freezing cold, that lake was frozen. And you look back at this on some summer day, or you're in Bob's case, he's in Atlanta, Georgia. It's probably 80 degrees right now. Anyway, these are great memories of the A-Teams. And thanks for watching.